a nice 30 minutes. Thank you for spending them with me today. I appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about making a difference from day one orientation. Orientation is not a new subject, but I think it's a really important subject for us. And it's really a key foundation for trying to get these employees engaged and trying to keep them with us for retention. And that's something that's going to be a focus in our company in the next year. So looking at training, looking at retention, looking at culture, these things are always going to be very important key pillars for us as a company. And I think that we just need to see how we're going to keep employees in our buildings and kind of find out where the good ones are, hopefully. So we're going to talk about a few things today. Simply, what's the job orientation, some best practices, increasing communication and working smarter. I want to talk about some resources that we have available for you. And I think that that's part of working smarter, is to have some things that are going to make your life easier, more organized, kind of keep us in a better light. And then overall, just saying how can we keep them? We have to develop people, and that is very, very important to, like I said, this next building year. I have a slide here, probably a couple of things on here we'll hit home with you. A little bit about things that happen to you every day. We know that we have applicants. This is wonderful. We've had a really great year. We say yay to Delaney. Delaney has been very active with the job boards. She's been doing a lot of posting of positions that you need, and she's been generating a lot of applications. So this has been very effective for us to get more applicants into Talent Reef so that you can view them every day. And ultimately, what does that mean is that we have more choices, or you have more choices, hopefully in your buildings. I know that you're probably going, yeah, BM, you don't understand. It's not the cream of the crop, but we're getting more applicants in. So that's always a very positive place to be. And last month, just to let you know in numbers, I told Delaney I love the numbers. We had 1,234 applications. So that's saying that we're getting some movement. People are looking at us as a company. So that's the number one. So we have that. I think that many of our buildings are getting staffed in a better way. Some aren't there yet. Some are going to have difficulties. And this is always kind of an up and down game. Delaney and I are more involved on the management side. You are staffing for your restaurants, but it happens the same both places. You get so excited and you think that you're there, and then you have kind of a step back, and it can be frustrating. But you got to keep going. So we need to see what we're doing and how we can deal with these things. So the choices are good. The ghosting. I know we're probably still up against some of the ghosting. You think everything's set up and it's really great, and then somebody just doesn't show up for the interview. No shows in general. They could be, for anything, for the interview process, for the new hire process. They never do the onboarding. They never complete the onboarding. They never call you back. And they seem unmotivated. I think a lot of us kind of look at this. I think it's more of a society problem, but there are things we can do too to change this. And how is it that we do this? But our part is sometimes just to understand that some of these people that don't show up just aren't a fit for us. They're just not a fit for hospitality. And that's what we want to do. We need to hire the people that actually can help us deliver the experience to our guests. So that's some things we might or might not do if we're not contacting the applicants right away, if we're not using the texting option, and if we don't keep in contact with them. I think sometimes, we do a screening, but then we don't really set up the interview. We don't really get them in. We need to really try to keep a constant flow of communication so that we can keep the process moving forward. If they don't hear from us, they're not going to be interested at all when you call them. So do we ask those questions that we try to learn something about the person? Do we learn about some of their work ethics? That's really hard to do sometimes. till we actually see them in motion. But we can get a good feel for people by asking them some of the proper questions. Kind of see what they're looking for, kind of see what motivates them, what gets them excited. Some work is exciting. Some people like to be moving around all the time and they love people and they love to be doing things. Those are the kind of people that we need. Um, those that are looking for certain hours and certain things, it's probably not going to fit into our hospitality game very well. So we just want to be able to take our time. I want you to be able to make the best use of your time and resources to get this done without banging your head against the wall. I know that many of you are still in a position of not having enough employees, and you need to be working a lot of different positions and have a lot of hats, and you're back and forth and you're trying to kind of get all these things done in the day. So we may not be doing everything in the best way possible to make the best use of our time. So job orientation is not new to you, like I said. What is it? It's simply a welcome to our company. So, like I said, we're in hospitality, so we need to set the example of what that hospitality is when we start this whole process with orientation and into training. So I think that keeping in mind that the interview process, when we're interviewing someone, they're interviewing us just as much. And it's a two-way street. So are we asking the right questions, engaging in that conversation? Can we answer questions, and do we look like we are actively listening and making these candidates feel important? Because, there was something that caught your interest that you pulled them in to interview them, and they're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be looking at, is this a fit for me? Do I like this person? Do I feel I could get along here? Do I think that this environment is good for me? We first and foremost, through orientation, it's about a comfort level for the employees. So we always want to make them feel comfortable and hopefully feel that they made the right choice. That's the ultimate goal with the orientation. That is what makes it successful. There's a lot of information that happens during an orientation. And these are just some of the best practices type things that I wanted to talk about. Using a checklist is important, and we have one to use. I don't know if everyone is doing that. Sorry. I know that this came about because I was talking to Anne and she told me Stacy had this great checklist that she used, and I asked her to see it. And when I did, she shared this with me, and she's always willing to help out and to do a lot of things. She was like, "Sure, PM." And I took a look at it, and I actually put it up against the checklist that we have, which we're going to discuss here a little bit later in the presentation. But pretty much everything on her list is on our list. So we're doing the right things and we have the right goals in mind. I wanted to see if she had anything new. There was one thing I know that I thought was a good tip, and we'll talk about it. But using a checklist is really important for us because of all the information that we have. We don't want to skip the information. It's important to a new hire. And this is going to be ongoing. We always talk about that too. Orientation is tough because you have a lot of things to get done, and we don't always put aside enough time for that orientation. So we're going to have to spread it out and kind of check in with the new hires, make sure that they're getting all of this information. That's a way to keep the communication flowing. When they come in, they just probably applied for a job. They don't even know what that job is, maybe. So do they know anything about us other than we're a restaurant? So during this orientation, it's going to be so important for you to actually talk about the company history, the values, and the culture. And the culture comes from you because many of you have been around a long time. You just have good stories. You have great employees that have great stories, guest stories, employee stories, and they can share them. And that is our culture. That is what makes us what we are. That makes people want to come and visit us and have this experience with us, like our food, but many times they love our people. And so these are the things that we want you to engage new hires in so that they get that comfortable, like home feeling from us. And it's a place that they want to go every day. We're also involved in a lot of community, probably not as much as we were in the past, but many of you are doing that. And I think that's important to see. Many new hires are looking for that atmosphere. They're looking for how they fit in, sustainability. And so what we're doing for communities is a huge part of that. And we have a lot to share with them about that. They want to see about them being a fit. So we want to motivate them. And in this process, we I feel, motivate ourselves because we look at some history and some really good times. And that makes for a good day, any day of the week. We need to look at setting some clear expectations as well. New hires are going to come to you with their own ideas about like what is and isn't good work behavior. And that, of course, may not line up with what your expectations or our company expectations are. So we really have to sit down and make a clear expectation of, what we think and what we need to see from them so that they also know that they're doing the job properly, because if no one tells them, they think everything is just okay. So we want to make that example. We want to be that example of great company culture and ethics. We want to show them how your crew gets along, how they communicate, how they have fun together. And you have that collaborative environment. We're a restaurant. We can't do our jobs if we're not all kind of helping out and working together. That's how we get things done. So like I said, they're looking for a great atmosphere they can grow in. It's important to new hires. They're looking for opportunities to stay with you, and they want to know how they can grow with the company. They want to know that they're an important piece of what we do every day, how they fit in, how they make a difference. This is a statistic. It came from Forbes Advisor, and I just thought these numbers were so high. 91 of new employees are willing to quit within the first month, and 93% during the probation period if the job doesn't match their expectations. So what are their expectations? How do we know what their expectations are? You have to ask them. That's where this communication comes in, two-way conversations, as long as we're setting an expectation, but we need to look at what it is that they're looking for in this position, what they think it is. What are those opportunities to do something else? Like I said, they just apply for a job. That job they may not know anything about, but you may have a need in another place and they might be willing to do that if you talk to them about the job. So we want to make all of this a positive experience. Introduce them to the employees, of course, and their supervisors. They need to know who to go to. We want to make it fun. We do that. We have some events and some things, and our restaurant revolves around food. So what's not good about that? That's fun. So, and we always want to paint a clear picture of what's going to happen in this process for them. What's going to happen for them on their first day. So let's look at a couple of things. I have listed here something that's kind of out of the box, but it could work for you, possibly. It depends how many crew members you need and how many you can hire at the same time. But, we always have one person come in. It's a big use of our time. And do we spend the time that we need to? Like I said, could we bring in a few new employees together and have like a little group orientation? We used to do that for managers a lot. And it was good for them to learn about each other, kind of talk with them. And, you can do some fun things with them. Like I said, have a little food, have a little snack, make a sundae, have them meet each other. They're all in the same position. They're new. So no one's kind of feeling like you take that tour and you introduce them to people and they get that deer in the headlights look because they feel as if, they're in the spotlight. And that makes people generally a little bit uncomfortable. Some really love it. But that's one way that can help you into saving your time, focusing and taking the time with the group, explaining all the things that you need to explain. So it could be something that could work out for you. It's a little, like I said, we'll have to think out of the box going forward and finding out how we can do the proper things we need to do. Unfortunately, when we get caught up into all the hats and all the positions and all the jobs that we have to do, it's kind of like a fire or a hamster on a wheel. And you get off the wheel, you don't want to keep jumping back on. So we want to have the best use of everyone in the building. This is a quote from Frevo, but this is what happens. 45% of employees have applied to other opportunities after a bad day at work. So when you're feeling low and you go in, things are up in the air, which I don't have. I have a realistic attitude. Everything doesn't go right every day, and things do happen, and it's hectic where we work. But if we at least have some organization, or we at least communicate and we say, hey, it was a crazy day here, but you guys all did great. And maybe you have one of those little treats after the shift. And I know a lot of you do that, in the thank yous go a long way to having that person not be in this position when they go home and hit the job board, because that's not what we want. As we're doing the hiring and this training process, we're spending the time, we're also spending the money. So every time that we are hiring people in, it's costing us quite a bit of money. So there are some, I don't want to say mistakes, but there are things that probably don't put us in the best light when we are doing an orientation, and that's being disorganized. If you don't have your paperwork or a checklist to go by, and you're really trying to remember everything, what's the first impression? Did that new hire hit the store and they have them wait, and they're just sitting and they're nervous? So it seems like it's half an hour and it's like 5 minutes, but you get there and you go over and have them sit in front of a laptop and start doing some paperwork, and you say, I'll be back, and you get involved in something else, which of course you can't, help that. Things happen, and it's a longer time. They don't know what to do. They're not sure what to do, what the next step is. It's hard. It's hard for new hires to step into that environment and have a comfort level. And that's where we want to be. We don't want to forget the information when you have a million things going on and you don't have your paperwork in front of you. It's easy to just forget a lot of the important details that you need to discuss with them. So assuming that they understand is probably something we don't want to do. So ask them questions, have them repeat things to you. Of course, that's a learning process, so that we know how they understand how to punch in, when they get a break, when they can have a meal, how they pay for the meal, where they park. Those are the very basic things, but those are their needs and wants at the time that they start their employment. So we want to make sure that they understand all of those things, and that they can come in feeling secure, and that they've met a couple people and they realize what's happening, so that they can come in with a little better attitude and they're not that deer in the headlights with you the first day. It's really good, it says not collecting feedback. Well, feedback simply is just asking them questions. So with all of this overflow of information, which is listed here as well, we want to make sure we're asking them, how do they feel? Do they need anything from us? What can we do to help you? And if you don't ask, they most likely are not going to tell you. So this is a big area. So when it says feedback, that's for you and for them. So ask the questions so you know where they're at and how they're feeling. So just a short slide. Who are we hiring? Just back to following up on the consistent in calling the candidates and screening them. Management team on the same page, as who does the orientation, who does the interview? Is everybody communicating and talking between themselves with the management team? Do you have manager meetings? Do you discuss new hires and who's kind of taking charge and what you think? Talking about that feedback. That's a good way to keep up with them and see what everybody's seeing on different shifts. Different managers on different shifts may see different things, and you should always have that communication open. Open communication will tell you a lot. We always want to look professional and we always want to look organized. That first impression is the one that lasts, and we want to make it a good one. So, I do want to talk about some of the resources that we have for you, because these are important. Delaney and I, during Campbell U, always discuss the applicant interview sheet with the new managers, and I hope they're using it. It got good. We got good reviews when we discussed it, and we used it actually during class. So it is found on the portal, and I have it there where you can find it. And this is the applicant interview guide. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for you, and it's a great resource. Of course, you have an application from Talent Reef, but here is a place where you can put all the information in one place. There are places on the first page for the pre-screening or phone screening. You can put availability. You can put all the basics that you need to know. Currently employed student, minor, all the things you need. There's for notes that you might make during the conversation. And then there are some questions below for you to ask them so that you can extend this past just the basic task when you're available, and do you have transportation, and what age are you, and different things. Once you get down to the point where you feel that they've passed that screening, now you can move on to the first interview. You can see the blocks there below. Just general questions, yes, no's, place for notes. But you'll see on the second page, we do have places that have questions for you. For an experienced candidate, like someone who maybe has worked in a restaurant or has had a job before. And then a candidate that really hasn't. They don't have any experience in a restaurant, never worked there, or maybe never had a job. So you're not going to ask them the same type of questions. But for someone who isn't really experienced in interviewing, this is going to help you. This will be a good resource for you. And you're making notes that everyone can see. Also, when you get through all this interview process and you want to hire someone, there's also a place for looking at some social media, doing some references, kind of doing an internet search, just kind of looking into some of your candidates, make sure that that's the candidate that you want to hire. And if you have different managers that are doing the interview process or the orientation process, this is very helpful to pull out. Someone's doing a phone screen but can't take care of the interview. Everything's on one page so that you have the same information, that you're not asking questions over again, so that you know a little bit about them when they get there, which is going to engage them, and it's going to give them a good feeling like, hey, I'm pretty important. They called me and they know something about me. So this is a really great tool and resource for you. It's on the portal. I would suggest that you pull it out and you do try to use this because it can be a great time saver. And that's what we want to do. This is all part of this today. Is I want to give you things that are going to help you and save time. The next resource that we have is the new team member checklist. It's not a new resource, it's been there. And this is where I made reference to Stacy's checklist and this being so similar. You can see so much is on here. So that checklist that's so important to orientation, so you do not forget all of these very important things that we have or we need to tell our new hire employees, is all right here in front of you, and you can check it off. So if you only got so far and you need to take a section and you need to get back with the employee and review it, you know exactly where you're at and you're not missing that information. Onboarding is here. That's very important. Get them hired, get them in so that we can pay them. Training materials are there. Pretty much are trying to update all of this information and looking to move forward with updating training in this next year. So you'll see that that has gone down. The orientation link should be on your desktop. Please make sure you're showing that to everyone. I think that's a nice, fun, upbeat video for everyone to see a little bit about who we are and what we do. Some of them are LMS modules, and I'm trying to move the EAP to an LMS module as well. Uniforms, payroll, scheduling, hugely important. I did update this to have how to enter an employee on the Spot On system because we are moving everyone into this new system. We do have policies, handbooks, and resources. A lot of information is what the employee wants to know right here. Thought a good tip for Stacy's checklist was the last bullet point, which is explain text app is not used as a form of communication. I know that that does happen, and so that's used in the hiring process, but it is not a form of communication within the store. I know that can be quite cumbersome for you, so that's probably a good point to make. Introductions and tours, like we said, and position information. Huge amount of information here. One checklist on the portal, easy for you to find, easy for you to use. CoreEngage. CoreEngage is an app that is, I love, and I always bring it up. This is a reminder. I know Brenda has talked about this so much, and I just think this is the easiest way to find information that you need as managers and employees to answer questions. So if they have a benefits question, you're not really sure, you can click on CoreEngage on benefits, and it'll take you right in and let you know about our programs. It has financial information, employee safety training, community. In training, it'll give you the login and take you right into the LMS. So there's so many things on here that are going to give you answers. They'll take you into our website, Facebook page, and everything is right there in one place. So I think that this is really good. If you don't have it, you may want to put it on your phone so you kind of have it with you and you're able to access this app. It is CoreEngage. So really easy to put on for you and have all the information at your fingertips. So moving forward in the new year, I'm going to talk about CDTs a little bit. I have had some inquiries. Managers are wanting to know about CDTs. We do not have the big workshops anymore, but I do have a program through the LMS system. It is LMS modules with a testing option for the area that they'll be training in. If you email me with the name and the area that they will train in, I can set that up for you. And that is a way to get some of these good leaders in your store certified as CDTs. Cross-training saves you time and helps you schedule. It's not easy these days. Many people have double jobs. They're working a couple, 2, 3 jobs, and cross-training and having someone be able to stay or help out or call in is a great way. If you can get everybody, as many people as you can cross-train. Use the strengths of your team, your management team, and use the strengths of your crew. Having, that team, we're all really good at something, and then there's always something that kind of like we don't like to do. So if we mesh all of that together, we get the best results and in the most efficient way. So training, of course, we want to focus on training in the upcoming year. Need to be able to kind of update that and streamline it to what you need. So hopefully I'll be out in your stores and I'll be talking to you and seeing you a little bit more. And we're going to be moving into some new projects. So I think we're coming toward the end of our 30 minutes, and I don't want to keep you today because I know your time is valuable. I appreciate you being here with me today. I always love your time and attention, and I am always available for any of your ideas. So please, if you have anything, contact me, and I hope that you have the best afternoon. Thanks, everyone.